It's confirmed that the Green Bay Police Department is considering moving its headquarters to the former Green Bay Press Gazette building on Walnut Street. The price tag for the building and some nearby parking lots is $3.6 million, according to an item on Tuesday's agenda for the City Finance Committee. $2.7 million of that cost would come from the Green Bay General Fund. Part of the tentative deal would include the sale of Green Bay Metro Fire Station No. 1 on South Washington Street and Fire Station No. 3 on Shawano Avenue. As we've reported, plans are underway to build a new fire station at the former Badger sheet metal site on South Broadway.